Welcome to a course on measure theory and integration. In the previous lecture, we have started a discussion on Lebesgue interval. So we have seen, actually we have recalled the ideologies that we have studied on Riemann integration, and we started trying to convert these ideologies into a general setup that is known as Lebesgue measure, right? So when we have a bounded function over a finite measure, how do we define the Lebesgue integral? We have not still defined what do we mean by Lebesgue integral. In order to construct the ideologies in Lebesgue integral, we just saw the definitions of canonical representation of a simple function and the integral of a simple function in a general setup, and how do we write these things. This is what we have seen in the previous lecture, and in this lecture we will actually start working with the ideologies, results, theorems and all. Okay, the first result that we have in the form of lemma is phi is given to be some simple function. Okay, with this simple function, actually we have constructed this simple function with the help of disjoint sets. Okay, and those disjoint sets we represented as e suffix I, that I runs from 1 to n. Okay, so a simple function is basically a function which takes only a finite set of values. So having those things in our mind, let us proceed. Here, suppose each of the set that we have considered in the simple function ei is measurable, and that measure value is finite, then the integral of this simple function may be written as a summation. So this is what we are going to prove in this lemma. So in order to prove this, first what we are going to do is that first let us assume, okay, given phi equals summation I runs from 1 to n ai xi, sorry, chi ei with ei intersection ej is empty for I not equals j. Okay, this is that. And also given that each ei is measurable set of finite measure. That means mei is finite for I runs from 1 to n. Okay, so these are the given informations to us. So with which let us proceed further. Let us define the set a with suffix small a to be the collection x such that the function phi, okay, here we have taken this phi, right, such that this phi of x equals a. Okay, so we'll have to collect the elements which maps with the point a. That is what we are taking it to be aa, and this a may be written as union of ai equals a e I. Okay, so where ai equals a, we'll just collect only those sets and make a union. That is going to be my aa. Okay, if you just see, okay, what is this characteristic function of ai? Let us recall this definition as well. This gives you one if, actually this is a function. So if x is a member of ei, this gives you 1, and a 0 if x is not a member of ei. Okay, your phi of x will be equal to ai if your x belongs to ei. Okay, and your phi of x is 0 if x does not belongs to ei for any I. Okay, now here what are the things that we are taking? We are collecting the points x which maps to a, right? So if it has to map to A, then if it has to map to A, then this X must be a member of this EI. There may be several sets. Okay, we have the collection E1, E2 till En. Among this collection, there may be many sets to which X belong. Okay, so we will have to take all sets and we'll have to make the union. That is going to be our AA. Okay, that is what is said. I forget to write those things in green color. Hope you people understand. Those are rough works that are above the statement. Okay, so by now, with which we can write measure of AA is nothing but measure of this union AI equals AEI, and that is nothing but summation under AI equals A MEI. This is happening since EIs are mutually disjoint. That is given in the statement of the lemma itself. EI intersection EJ is empty if I and J are different. Okay, by the mutual disjointness we have this thing. Hence, okay, from this what you can have is that A measure of AA is nothing but A times of summation under AI equals A MEI. Since A is a constant, we can take it inside summation AA equals A times of MEI. Now, let us consider integral phi of x dx. That is what? Summation A MEA, which is nothing but, so we'll have to take the summation, that is summation AI equals A AMEI. So this is the summation value, and from which integral phi of x dx is summation I runs from 1 to n AI MEI. Okay, so actually this quantity is equal to this summation, and you will have to perform for all the things. So you get, actually here you will have the double summation, and that results in summation I runs from 1 to n and AI times of MEI. Okay, this is what we intended to prove, and that completes the lemma. Okay, the next proposition that we have is here phi and psi are given to be two simple functions. Okay, so with these two simple functions we have few more information, that is which vanish outside a set of finite measure. Okay, this phi is defined on some set E, and the psi is also defined on some set. Okay, we do not know what is the set that we on which these two functions are defined. Okay, but okay, let us take the same domain, there is no issue. Even if you take different things, let us see what happens. Okay, which vanish outside a set of finite measure, which means if your measure of x is finite, then it is fine. Your phi of x is 0 for every x is in x complement. Okay, so basically it means what? This function phi and psi are defined on the entire real line. Let us consider that way. Okay, and if you consider some set which has a finite measure, inside that set these two functions has some non-zero values. Even if it is zero value, that is of no issue. But outside the set of finite measure, these two functions has the value 0. Okay, so let me just give you those things in a notation, that is a rough one. If you suppose x is any set of finite measure, then your phi of x is 0 outside x, and your psi of x is also 0 outside x. So this is given to us. Okay, with which what we have to prove is that linear combination of these two functions is preserved, that linearity is preserved under the integration. That is, integral of the linear combination is equal to the linear combination of the integrals. Okay, in particular, if you have the if you have the inequality between these two functions, that happens in almost everywhere case, then the same inequality is preserved by the integrals as well. So to continue with the proof, okay, let us simply write what is given. Given phi and psi are simple functions which vanish outside a set of finite measure. So this is the only supposition, only information that is given to us, right? Now let us take the collection AI and BI be the sets that occur in the canonical representation of the simple functions that we have. Okay, now we'll have to recall the definition of a canonical representation, and there we must see what is the need of sets over there, right? Let us revisit now and see what is the definition of a canonical representation. If you have a simple function and you have some non-zero values that the simple function takes, then that can be written as summation those values and the characteristic function at some set. The set is defined in this way. Okay, this is how we define the set in our lemma as well. Okay, so this canonical representation involves a set of non-zero values, and based on a set of those non-zero values we have the sets as well, right? So those sets also we are considering here. Fine. So here let's a naught and b naught be the sets where this phi and psi. Okay, here I have made use of another notation. Here I am now making another notation. Don't get confused. I'm just using phi. Okay, so this phi and 0 respectively. Okay, so this is said that this takes only finite number of values. So out of this finite number of values, one among the values shall be 0 as well. So we'll have to identify such set where these two functions are 0. So for phi we take that set as a naught, and for psi we take that set as b naught. Okay, after taking this way, let us proceed further. Then the sets ek obtained by taking the intersection ai intersection bj form a finite disjoint collection of measurable sets, and we shall further write phi equals summation k runs from 1 to n a k chi ek, and the psi equals summation k runs from 1 to n bk and chi ek. Okay, just a minute, let us verify with the textbook as well, so whether we are going in a right way or not. I just got a doubt. Okay, fine, we are going in a right way only. Yeah, so hope you have got the ideology of how we construct the sets AIs and BJs. Okay, if you don't get the ideology, that I can explain you in a very short way. So if, just a minute, what happened here? So the set ek, just a minute, let me just correct these things. The sets ek b, actually a naught and b naught be the sets where these two are 0, right? Fine. And we have the representation, and okay, so if you see what is the set AI, this is the set, the collection of x such that your phi of x equals AI, and this bi bj is the set, that is the collection of x such that psi of x equals bj. Okay, so here you have a1 to an, and here also you have the same thing. Okay, and there is no restriction. Okay, here we have chosen each have n sets, so we are taking that way. So with which you can actually you can take any set from this and any set from this and make an intersection a1 intersection b1, this is possible. A1 intersection b2, this is possible. A1 intersection b3, this is also possible. Likewise, you have a1 till bn, and you will have a2 intersection b1 and a2 intersection b2. Likewise, you will have till a2 intersection bn. So in this way, we can find till an intersection bn, comma uh, sorry, an intersection b1, comma an intersection b2, comma till an intersection bn. So we have these many possibilities. All these will form a finite disjoint collection of measurable sets. Why are they measurable sets? Because the way in which we constructed ai and bj, the way we constructed these two sets are basically measurable sets. Okay, so we have a finite intersection of two measurable sets. Of course they will have to be measurable, so that is why we have these things. And okay, just a minute, here you are not very sure of how many sets that you have, right? That need not be n as well. Okay, I just said it wrong. So there may be a1 till an and b1 till bm. Okay, so here we'll have till an, here we'll have till bm. Okay, we are not very sure of how many sets that we have. So here if there are repetitions, remove them. Okay, if there are repetitions in these sets, remove them and consider them only once and name them as e1 e2. Okay, so you can just name them as e1 e2. If suppose this is the repetition, like till em. If there are repetitions, you can remove them. So at last you don't know how many sets you are going to have. So we write there are n sets. Okay, in general, what is the thing? We have made an intersection of ai with bj, and if there are repetitions, we remove them. And when we see about the nature of those sets, they are mutually disjoint. After making the intersection, this collection, this is a finite disjoint collection of measurable sets, and with those sets we can write like this. Okay, initially, when you write it in the canonical form, these two functions will have your phi is summation I runs from 1 to n ai psi ai, and your psi is summation I runs from 1 to m, or you may have it as j bj and chi bj. Okay, so now what we are doing is that we are just rewriting them with the help of ek's. Okay, we just make k to run from 1 to n, and with the help of ek we are writing like this, right? So what is actually now here we'll have to pay attention and see what is this chi ek. So chi ek takes the value 1. Chi ek of x takes the value 1 if x is a member of ek. That is nothing but that is some ai intersection bj. Okay, and 0 if x is not a member of ek. So when x is not a member of ek, it clearly tells that x is not a member of ai as well as. Okay, so on either case, if it is not in the intersection, either of this happens to be true. Okay, if it has to satisfy this condition, this clearly implies that, okay, this clearly tells us that x is a member of ai and x is a member of bj. If x is a member of both ai and bj, then you will have your chi ek of x value to be equal to 1. And when it is not a member of this intersection, that is when it is not a member of either of this set, then it takes the value 0. So you can just have some example and see how these are constructed, and you can very well see that that value is exactly same as that of this value. Okay, you can actually take sets and try to construct some examples that will give you a clear idea. Okay, now let me just try to complete this proposition. Hopefully we will soon have a problem solving session there. Some of you are invited to interact with me in the directly on the Google Meet, and you will have to give answers for the problems. Okay, we can have the interaction, and of course, yeah, that is possible. And during the life, everyone can interact through live chat as well, right? Okay, let me come back to the problem, sorry, the proposition that we are talking about. So now we see a phi plus b psi, which is nothing but summation I runs from 1 to n, sorry, summation k runs from 1 to n, a times of aak chi ek plus summation k runs from 1 to n bbk chi ek, right? So if you just combine these things, it is like summation k runs from 1 to n, it is summation k runs from 1 to n aak plus bbk and chi ek, right? Okay, so now let us make use of the lemma that we have just seen. So what does this lemma say? If you have a simple function, then the integral of the simple function is the summation I runs from 1 to n, that constant multiplied with the measure of the sets that we have. So by the previous lemma, or we shall write down the statement of the lemma itself here. Okay, so we know that if summation I runs from 1 to n ai chi ei with ei intersection ej equals empty set for I not equals j, and suppose each ei's are measurable with finite measure, then integral of this function phi is nothing but summation I runs from 1 to n ai measure of ei. So this is what we actually have, right? So with which what we can say, therefore integral a phi plus b psi equals summation I runs from, sorry, here we have the value k running from 1 to n aak plus bbk multiplied with measure of ek. So this shall be written as summation k runs from 1 to n aak mek plus summation k runs from 1 to n bbk mek. So you can just take a outside, so it becomes summation k runs from 1 to n ak mek plus summation k runs from 1 to n, actually this is multiplied with b bk mek. So this is a integral phi plus b integral psi. So we just proved the linear combination is preserved under the integral. Now we'll have to prove the inequality that we are asked to prove, right? So let us consider. So let us with the help of let us do that with the help of the linearity that we have. So take a to be equal to 1 and b to be equal to minus 1. So these are a particular case. This is a particular case. Okay. Then integral phi minus psi is integral phi minus integral psi. Right? If okay, so now we will assume something. Assume phi is bigger than or equal psi almost everywhere. Then what? Our phi minus psi is bigger than or equals 0 almost everywhere, right? Therefore integral phi minus integral psi equals integral phi minus psi, which is bigger than or equals integral 0, which is happens to be 0. So therefore integral phi minus integral psi is bigger than or equals 0, and this clearly tells us integral phi is bigger than or equals integral psi, and this is what we intended to prove.